So today I'm going to talk about Enneagram type 6. Sometimes I'll be looking down at my notes. In particular, I'm talking about Enneagram type 6 and conspiracy theories. Basically, Enneagram type 6 is the Enneagram type that's most likely to be interested in conspiracy theories, is most likely to be talking about conspiracy theories. So, I think, I've done previous videos where I talk about how the main characteristic of the Enneagram type 6 is that they are uncertain. So they have a core of fear, but this fear is processed into uncertainty. There's other types that have a core of fear, the 7 and 5, but they process their fear differently. For the Enneagram, the fear is processed into uncertainty, and that is the main emotion Enneagram type 6 has, uncertainty. And so that alone should kind of highlight why they're so into conspiracy theories, because they have so much uncertainty. And the idea of a conspiracy theory, it's all about doubt, it's all about skepticism, which is an uncertainty, right? Like that's pretty much the same thing, doubt, skepticism, uncertainty. I think the link there is pretty obvious. I doubt almost means uncertainty. Skepticism almost means uncertainty. Those words are just so interrelated. And then conspiracy theories are all about someone's lying. Don't trust this organization. What the powerful people are telling you is not the truth. So there's a feeling of lack of trust, which is uncertainty. I feel like this sort of reasoning is quite inherent. Like you can just the words themselves are telling you how the uncertainty relates to conspiracy theories. Now, conspiracy theories are, the word itself, conspiracy theory, funny enough, at least in some senses, is a conspiracy theory. I don't want to go into the history of these words, because really what matters is how we use this, how the everyday person uses this normally. But I believe there's something to do with American government agencies creating the word conspiracy theory as a way to discredit those that were saying something negative about the American government. And so they came up with this term conspiracy theory, or at least I've heard that. And that in itself does seem to be a conspiracy, right? Like, so the government is trying to discredit people that are talking against them. Yeah, so I guess the main reason why I'm talking about that is because I'm not trying to use the word conspiracy theory in a negative sense. And that's the thing. This word, this phrase, conspiracy theory, it changes over time, and people do use it to discredit people. It's been, and at the same time, it's been really popular in recent years. There's been people talking about, I remember when Flat Earth became really popular. And that's the thing, people might, like that was a while back now when Flat Earth sort of took off and became a popular thing. Maybe that was around 2015 or something like that. 2016, which is like 10 years ago. But it became quite a popular thing. And so sometimes, and I guess at that time, that conspiracy was in and it was popular and it was liked. And so maybe conspiracy theories were seen as cool at that stage. Maybe sometimes they're seen as negative, like people in recent times, COVID has been, there was a lot of talk about conspiracy theories around COVID. So I'm not trying to give it a positive or a negative connotation. It doesn't really matter. And some people can be telling the truth and what they're saying is termed as a conspiracy theory. And some people can be telling things that are totally not the truth. And it's still regarded as a conspiracy theory. So how people see it doesn't really matter. But the point is that certain people are attracted to these kinds of, you might call it conversations, or these kinds of conversations which revolve around the ideas of being lied to, misconceptions, why you can't trust, ulterior motives, all of this sort of stuff. These are the words and the ideas that a lot of sixes are focused on because of their core, not their core, but because they're characterized by uncertainty. Yeah. And so there's a few sort of caveats to this that are important to look at. I would say that the sixes that tend towards this are going to tend to be the more intellectual sixes, because this is kind of a, it's about arguments, it's about understanding politics, it's about understanding motives. All of that is kind of a more intellectual sphere. So lower intellectual sixes are going to be less likely to be involved in that kind of thing as much. They're certainly going to be more attracted to it than lower intellectuals, people of other types. Yeah. And there's always sort of a counter, there's often a counter position. It's often very taking a counter position is the conspiracy theory position, which is what sixes often take as well. This idea of just looking at things in the opposite way and seeing how they're true or could be seen as true, using the same logic as the ones that agree with it. They're using that logic to disagree with it. This kind of thing, it's like this idea of counter sort of a understanding of something, or a counter position, something, flipping things on their heads. All of these things are related, and that comes from that. If you are doubting something for a long time and you're thinking about these things for a long time, you tend to look at things from different perspectives. Eventually you get around to all these different perspectives because you keep mulling over the same things. And then they see things from these counter positions a lot more commonly than other types. And so they'll talk about these things from other types more than other types. Yeah, so with this counter position, it just reminds me of the six I used to know who massively talked about how he didn't believe in conspiracy theories, but it was done in such an overly vigorous way. Yeah, like he was always doing it. Hold on, my camera's flipping out. Let me see if I can lock the lighting. Okay, I think I locked my lighting on my camera. Hopefully it won't do this blinking in and out thing. Anyway, so this six, he used to constantly post on Facebook about how he was against conspiracy theorists and how conspiracy theorists were wrong. And his whole life seemed to revolve around conspiracy theorists, but from the position of being anti-conspiracy theorists. And he talked about conspiracy theories all the time, but he was just always trying to debunk them. And he was clearly a six. He was just a 6 doing 6 things in an opposite way to, I guess he was, well, in an opposite way to the common 6, but still being a common 6 in his being opposite. If that makes sense, if that's not too roundabout, if you can get your head around that one. Anyway, yeah. So let me just check my notes here, see if I've got everything. There's a lot of talking about telling what they don't believe in versus telling what they do believe in. So a lot of their talk will be, if it's not directly conspiracy theory, or even if it is conspiracy theory, they'll often be saying things, I don't believe in this, I don't trust that, rather than, this is what I believe in, this is what I support. Yeah, which is very similar to, well, that comes from uncertainty as well, and it often is related to conspiracy theories, that whole kind of approach of conversation when you talk about things that you don't believe in and talk about things that you distrust. Sixes are much more likely to do that than other types. Yeah. And they're less likely to be talking about what they do believe in. Okay, so right, so I have just here a little bit about the non-intellectual 6 and things they do, as opposed to going into the conspiracy theory type of stuff. And a lot of it, well, it's about that they still have their uncertainty. It's still there. And because they don't combine that with an intellectualism, they're not going down these discussions of conspiracy theories as much. Rather, they go into talking about things that are unfair, things that are maybe more accepted as unfair, like racism or classism, these kinds of things. They'll talk about those kind of things, and it will come from this disgruntled place, this unsatisfied place, which usually relates to them not getting what they want. So they're disgruntled, they feel they're not getting what they deserve, maybe because of racism, maybe because of sexism, maybe because of where they live and they feel that they're missing out for some non-conspiracy reason. Maybe it's just, everyone knows that this particular region doesn't get government support, so they'll moan about that. So that because they feel they're missing out. And this is actually moving them towards the Enneagram 3. And the internal lines of connections connect the 3 to the 6 and the 6 to the 3. And so the 6 is characterized by that feeling of not being recognized, not getting what it deserves. That's so much for 3, not being recognized. And so this is this disgruntled 6 who's not intellectual will tend to move in that direction towards feeling they're not getting what they deserve. That's how their feelings of doubt, their feelings of uncertainty, distrust will make them feel that way. I'm not getting what I deserve because of these various accepted forms of discrimination or whatever. But the core of it is not about making a political statement about what's right and wrong. It's about them feeling that they are not being recognized, not getting what they deserve, and they feel disgruntled, which was all based in a feeling of uncertainty, distrust, and doubt. So it took them in that direction rather than the conspiracy pipeline, due to the co-found of, or the variable of, being non-intellectual. Yeah, so that's plays out a fair bit in all types. This isn't just a 6 thing, but different variables or confounds, such as whether someone's intellectual or not. They all impact these kind of things. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.